Welcome back to the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast. Today's topic, what my narcissist did after I left. In this podcast and the next two podcasts, I'm going to present the responses we received in one of our previous contests. These responses are in three categories. What my narcissist did after I left, that's today's podcast. What I did that didn't help after I left my narcissist. And what I did that did help after I left my narcissist. When you leave your narcissist, your abuser, it's a rough road. Leaving is the right thing to do, make no question about that, but it is a rough road. In fact, it's brutal. Living with an abuser is awful. Leaving an abuser is also awful. He'll try to make your life a living hell. Most of them will do that. Not all, but most. I'm doing these podcasts to get you ready for what will happen after you leave. So we're taking a little break from the 20 Lies podcast, which we'll get back to after these three podcasts. I thank all those who emailed in responses, again, for this contest. A lot of great input, and they're going to be in these podcasts because we're kind of missing the section of after you leave. We need to address that, and we're going to do that. Now, all three of these podcasts contain the actual words of abused spouses, their actual experiences. I also want to thank all those who participated in our subtitle book contest. We had a huge response. I sound like Donald Trump. Huge, but it was huge. We chose this subtitle for the book, Adult Children Who Break Your Heart. It's a version of the third option, and we decided to go with Bringing Your Prodigal Back to God and Back to You. Look for this book in January or February 2023. I'm writing it right now. Just finished the introduction, and I'll have it done by the end of the year, and then we got to do our thing to kind of bring it together. Dugas Creative and the team, we're going to bring it together and bring it to market. Now, before I dive into today's topic, if you want to support what me and my team are doing for abused spouses and all spouses in marital crisis, subscribe to this podcast and, frankly, on my YouTube channel too while you're at it, and leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. Okay, let's do today's topic, what my narcissist did after I left. Now, all these quotes refer to the husband as the abuser, but keep in mind the abuser can just as easily be the wife. He continued to emotionally abuse me after I left him. Okay, that's classic. In fact, the abuse was more frequent and intense, this lady says. Just vicious, rage, personal attacks, refusal to respond to requests, on and on. I had the nerve to leave him, and he was beyond furious. He was going to do all he could to make me suffer. Yeah, classic narcissistic response. Second, he fought for sole custody of our children, yet many of them will at least attempt that. He claimed I was an unfit mother. He made up evidence, lied his head off. He didn't get sole custody, but he put me through torment for months. Classic, you can expect that to happen. That's why you have to get a tough attorney. 3, he tried every trick in the book to make me suffer financially. Yeah, classic. He canceled my credit cards. He moved money into his own accounts. He lied about his income. That's why it's so important to take the steps in my book, Enough is Enough, to make sure you're set financially before you leave him. Having said that, he'll still do these stupid financial moves and awful, abusive financial moves. He moved money into his family's accounts. I had one guy recently who moved a lot of money into his mother's account. I mean, really? Of course, it was found out, but that's what they'll do. He refused to pay for my attorney, right? They'll often do that. He's going to have to anyway. He had his sleazeball attorney file motion after motion after motion. He cried poor so he wouldn't have to pay me as much money. All classic behaviors of the narcissist/emotional abuser. Here's one that really hurts. He did his best to poison the kids against me. He lied about me, saying I was unstable, crazy, too strict. He tried to buy their love and loyalty. Gifts, money, amusement parks, cell phones. He let the kids do whatever they wanted when they were with him. Again, classic. He wants to win their hearts and minds. He forced the kids to choose him or me. He kept the kids longer than we agreed. Once the custody thing was set, he showed up late to pick them up when it was his time to see them, and he didn't show up at all. Classic. Another point, he texted me constantly to harass and guilt me. Oh yeah, you're going to get bombarded by texts and emails. Gaslighting, Pretty much the same things he did in the marriage, except just ramped up. Gaslighting, challenging my every word, stonewalling, empty promises, blaming me, ridiculing me. Here's one. He tried to manipulate my attorney. This happens a lot. These guys know exactly what they're doing. My attorney, this lady says, turned out to be weak and passive, often the case, and spent time entertaining my abuser's manipulative efforts. I had to fire my attorney. Good. You often have to fire your attorney. You got to have somebody tough. Don't worry if they're a Christian. Nice if you can get a tough Christian, but if you can't, get one who's tough and will take care of your needs. God can use that attorney. Nothing worse than a wimpy attorney. They lose. Of course, it was all about control, just like in the marriage. He was trying to control the legal process. And as most of us have realized, the legal system is a joke. That's why you got to get a tough attorney who can maneuver through it and get what you need. 8, he reported false child abuse charges against me. I've heard this a lot. I mean, nasty and frankly evil. God will make him pay for that, but you got to go through the nightmare. I had to go through an investigation because of his bogus charges. You got to get ready for this. 9, here's what happens a lot. He won over our guardian ad litem with his lies. He convinced this guardian ad litem I was an unfit parent. You got to get ready for that and expect it. 10, he threatened to call the cops on me. Yeah, right. Here's another one. He gave me zero money, and when forced by the court to give me money, was always late paying me. Well, of course he was. He, however, spent money freely. That's exactly what they do, because it's all his money. He tried to get part of my inheritance from my parents. Yeah, he's also a thief. Now, they're not going to get away with that with the right attorney, but they're going to try to do that. Your inheritance is your inheritance. 13, with our grown children, he lavishes money and gifts on them, so they side with him. I've had many cases where the husband, of course, has money, has a business. He'll employ your kids. He'll give them money. He'll take care of them. He'll buy them homes just so he can win them over. He quit his job. Here's the good one. He quit his job so his income would drop. Classic. I don't have any money, Judge. And he wouldn't have to pay me in the divorce. Then after the divorce, miraculously, his income went back up. You got to watch this with the right attorney very closely. And the court can figure out, hopefully with your attorney, what he's doing. He had brought up divorce many times, but when I finally left and I filed divorce, he was outraged. Yeah, exactly. It's okay for him to bring it up, not you. After the separation, in this case, he left. He came back several times when I wasn't home. Yeah, many dirtballs will do this. He would move things around so I'd know he'd been there. Violation. Creepy, too. He took some of my personal things. He read my diary and shared my private thoughts with others. Oh, my evil. Nasty. That's why it's usually important to leave. Now, check with your attorney. If you can change the locks after he left, change the locks. If you can't, you may have to leave to prevent him from coming back like in the middle of the night or when you're not there. When I called him to work out paying for the bills and custody issues, he accused me of harassment. You're just trying to work things out, and suddenly you're harassing him and trying to get a restraining order against me. Yeah. Here's a classic. He turned our pastor against me and had the pastor confront me. Yeah, happens a lot. Okay, you're done with that pastor. Find one that gets it, but it's a nasty twist. He didn't contact our daughter for 3 months after we left. But when I filed for divorce, suddenly he accused me of trying to take his daughter away from him. He didn't even care about the daughter. But now you're trying to keep his daughter away from him. He suddenly wanted to spend a lot of time with her. These slackers suddenly become father of the year. It's classic. Another good one here. He has lied and turned members of my own family and friends against me. They are wonderful, world-class liars. Bottom line, you cut these losers off, family or friend. Cut them off. They don't understand. They don't believe. They've forgotten who you are. You're not the liar. He is. He accused me of being a whore who had multiple affairs during the marriage. That's absolutely untrue. This lady says, of course it was, but he accused her of that. Liar. He tried to convince me nothing was wrong. It was all in my mind. He completely denied that he was abusive. Yeah, they're all going to do that. Exactly. Of course, you're the crazy one. You're the liar. Here's what most of them will do too. He stalled the divorce process as much as he could just to make me suffer. He would not get documents in on time. He had his attorney postpone hearings at the last minute. This happens a lot, and they get away with it. He didn't show up to some hearings, and he got away with it. Often the court could care less. But if you miss a document, or if you miss being at court, yeah, and all hell breaks loose. He said I had no biblical reason to divorce him since he had not committed adultery. Oh yeah, all of a sudden he's reading the Bible, but he's not reading it the correct way. And this lady says, as you say, Dr. Clarke, I had the biblical reason of chronic abuse. Yes, you did. Ironclad. You can get divorced and you can get remarried freely. He can't, not that it would stop him. He didn't want to pay me much alimony or give me any of his retirement. Of course he didn't. He's going to be forced legally to do that. When I left, he told me I had to come home because I was making him look bad. As always, it was about him. Not I love you and I'll change. You're making me look bad. Part of the divorce agreement was we had to sell our home. Yeah, that's often the case. He made me do all the work. Of course he did, just to make you suffer. She had to clean, she had to stage, she had to pack, she had to list it, and she had to show it and sell it. Yeah, okay, fine. He told others that I divorced him because I had never really loved him. Quite the opposite, actually. After I left, he fixed up the house and did things I had asked him to do for years. He hadn't touched the house, this lady says. And then once she left, he fixed the whole thing up. Yeah, dirt ball. He started a relationship with a woman during the divorce process. Well, of course he did. I think he had been seeing this woman before I left home. Yeah, you better believe he was. Yeah. Doesn't take long for the narcissist to find another victim. They got to find that narcissistic supply. Oh, yes, they do. He has no conscience. No, he doesn't. No guilt, no remorse, and he is never wrong. All the marital problems were my fault. He made that clear after I left, this lady says. He is a true reprobate and a sociopath. She says, yes, he is. This will often happen too, but when I left, he begged and pleaded and promised to change. He would spend the rest of his life loving me and making up for what he'd done to me. When I ignored him for 2 weeks, he turned on me like a snake and blamed me for everything. That's exactly what they do. Look, if you're living with an abuser, go to my website, davideclarkephd.com. Clarke with an E, and order 2 of my books, 20 Lies That Keep You with Your Abuser. This will take care of the codependence that may be in you and the lies you believe that keep you from leaving. And then follow it up with Enough is Enough, step-by-step plan to leave an abusive relationship with God's help. This is going to show you how biblically it is the right thing to do and exactly how to leave your abuser. Now, next week's topic, what I did, this is the victim of the abuser, what I did that didn't help after I left. Okay, we'll take a look at that next week.